You're listening to Eat, Theatre, Sleep, Repeat, Blackpool Grand Theatre's podcast. Your fun-filled look behind the curtain. Get ready for incredible stories, backstage gossip, community highlights, and plenty of star power. Let's dive in.
Hello and welcome to Eat, Theatre, Sleep, Repeat. We're discussing the return of London City Ballet to Blackpool Grand Theatre after 30 long years away. And joining me is creative director Christopher Marney. Christopher, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. It's great to speak to you.
So how did the concept of the show come about? You know, Momentum. How did that come about? Is there a sort of deeper meaning behind the theme for the name?
Yeah, so we resurrected London City Ballet last year. It was the company's first year of being back on the road after 30 years. It closed in the mid-90s and it left this public who were very, very keen on seeing dance touring regionally. And I felt like there was a real gap in the market for that. And it was a shame that our beautiful theatres around the country, like the Grand, didn't have as much ballet touring through them as they should have. So we had Resurgence last year, which was our inaugural tour. And then I thought Momentum was a fitting name for this year because we've been all over the world, really, over the last year, gaining momentum with a fantastic group of 15 dancers from all over the world. And we're opening our show in Blackpool with you on the 12th of July.
And 2025 marks 30 years since London City Ballet were last performing at Blackpool Grand Theatre. How excited are you for the return and the cast to return to the theatre?
Well, the Blackpool Grand was a really important venue historically in London City Ballet's history because they would tour there almost every year. I have a lot of programs just over to the right of me, actually, from the Grand back in those days. I've been collecting the old programs, and I know that the theatre has a big archive of them too. So it was a really important venue for us, and it's special to me as well because I wanted to bring the company back home to Blackpool, and I think audiences can expect to see, you know, international dancers that we don't always get to see on the same stage in a program that isn't a purely classical ballet like Swan Lake. It's a mixed program of works where there's something for everyone, from classical ballet to contemporary dance. But I think at the heart of our work is really narrative storytelling that I feel can reach an audience. So we have a lot of people who are coming to see the show who perhaps haven't seen dance for the first time live. And this kind of program, I think, appeals to them because it has a broad range of things to offer.
You're backstage with Eat, Theatre, Sleep, Repeat. Make sure you hit follow.
And can you tell us about the choreographers and the creative team involved in this program?
Yes, of course. So all of us on this side have been performers and dancers. So we've chosen these works that are going to be performed really carefully and from a stance of knowing what it's like to be on stage and perform these works. We've got 4 ballets that haven't been seen for a very long time in the UK, and some of them have never been performed over here. One of them is called Pictures at an Exhibition. It's set to the famous score by Mussorgsky, and it's about children in a playground. It's 10 dancers, and it's set against this huge backdrop of Kandinsky artwork that's constantly changing. And in it, the dancers who start as children sort of develop, and you see their journeys and their relationships, and the artwork that's behind them is coming to life really through the stories that they tell.
And are there any sort of standout pieces or moments that you're especially excited for and for audiences to see?
Yeah, there's the opening ballet, which is by a choreographer called George Balanchine, who was very famous in New York. And most ballet companies have work by him in the repertoire that they tour. But this in particular hasn't been seen ever in the UK. And it's a great introduction to our show because each of the dancers has a small sort of breakout solo within this beautiful piece. So it's a good introduction to us as a company, but also the individual dancers.
And how does the show reflect the artistic identity and the reimagined London City Ballet from what it was to now?
So it used to tour the classical productions, as I mentioned, of things like Romeo and Juliet and Cinderella, very famous titles. And when I was young, I used to go and see London City Ballet where I was growing up, and that was how I was introduced to dance, which was a great introduction. This time around, I felt like our repertoire should be speaking to today's generation. And we have a mixture, I would say, of works that are honouring the past. They're a homage to where the company started. But quickly through the evening, we move on to works that I think are can be interpreted in many different ways, but are modern and vivid and are a real kind of feast for the senses because of the design and lighting, but also what the dancers bring. I wanted to make sure that we had a real diverse company of people from different backgrounds and different training backgrounds as well. So we've got 15 dancers who are at a mixture of stages of their career. Some of them are young emerging dancers who will be seen by the first time on this tour. And others are much more experienced principal dancers of ballet companies that have joined us for this tour. And they're coming from all over. We obviously have a strong cohort of British dancers. But then we have dancers coming from Japan, from Cuba, Brazil, Colombia, France, Italy. So it's a real melting pot, and it's really exciting to see what dancers from all of these different nationalities and trainings bring when they're on the same stage.
Grab your seats, theatre lovers. It's Eat, Theatre, Sleep, Repeat.
So what would you say to a young dancer who is sort of wanting to make it in the dance world? What would be the advice that you would give them?
I think that to stay as open-minded and versatile with the different styles that they're taking on is really, really important, because if you want to join a dance company nowadays, they expect you to have a good ballet technique. They expect you to be able to do contemporary dance and move in a more fluid way, using the floor as well as jumping and turning. So what's required of professional dancers nowadays is that they can really turn their hand to lots and lots of different styles, and also not to be put off by some of the kind of competition shows and reality shows that we see on TV. Those are great entertainment, but dance is about the artistry and about touching an audience, and we don't do that through split leaps and 10 pirouettes on stage. We do it through emotions and using a solid technique of classical ballet and contemporary dance, but using it to tell stories. And that's really what I would hope people would take away from the company.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Chris. We really appreciate it. And of course, Momentum makes its debut at Blackpool Grand Theatre on Saturday, the 12th of July. And don't forget, you can book your last minute tickets at www.blackpoolgrandtheatre.co.uk or call the box office 01253 290 190. Thank you so much for joining us.
That's a wrap on Eat, Theatre, Sleep, Repeat. Thanks for joining us at Blackpool Grand Theatre. And don't forget to like, most definitely follow, and join us again. Until next time, stay fabulous.